We can't hear you.
Yes, I purposefully muted myself. So give me 1 second. We're almost live here. I'm just checking on my other device to make sure here we're actually live. Bear with me. We are live. Okay, wonderful. And let me let a few more people in here. So bear with me. Another group of entrances. Wonderful group here in Zoom. And then also we will catch our audience live here on Facebook as well. Here, I'm just going to make sure I can see. Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. I am Celeste Cosentino. I'm the Executive Artistic Director of Ensemble Theater here in Cleveland, Ohio, where it is very nice and sunny outside. That is my dog, in case you wanted to meet him. He's very cute. It is a nice 80, I think 2 degrees outside today. I am in my nice, cool air conditioning, thus my scarf to, adorn for this evening's outfit that I've worn. If this is the first of our 10-minute play series that you are joining us for, welcome. If it is not, welcome back. This 10-minute play series was pretty much birthed out of COVID-19 and was kind of what had happened organically. Our Stage Right, which is a playwright unit, it's kind of an indoor that used to meet every Wednesday in person, started meeting via Zoom due to the pandemic. And what kind of came out of that pandemic was this every other Monday, we were doing these 10-minute plays. We did about 3 or 4 10-minute plays, and we thought that that was like a perfect evening for everybody to see 3 short plays via this platform, because of course, knock on wood, nothing will ever replace theater in real life, which hopefully, and I cross my fingers that we're getting very close to getting back to very soon. But very exciting times and some really amazing work that's coming out of this short play series that we've been doing. Just a few updates before we get started, and a few kind of ground rules that I'll share with everybody. Instead of doing it every other Monday, we're going to do it the first Monday of every month now, because as we get into the fall, we're going to probably mix in some actual real theater programming as part of ensemble season. So we'll go down to doing these, continue to keep doing these. So it'll be wonderful that people that are outside of Cleveland can still join us, but we'll do them the first Monday of every month. So the next one would be on July 5th, on that Monday night. So after July 4th, you'll still be able to do all of your wonderful holiday celebrating. And that will actually be the first day of our camp. We have this wonderful free performing arts camp that we do that goes from July 5th to the 16th. So I'll also remember that I'll probably talk a little bit about our first day of camp that night as well. And so just stay tuned. That is another little piece of information. I will actually share links to Ensemble Theater's website and the website that's actually dedicated to just these 10-minute plays in the chat of both the Facebook live stream and the Zoom during the readings. I will share those links with you, and what you can use those links for, you can use the 10-minute play link to check up and be updated on what plays that we'll be reading for the next month's Monday night. And then you can also look around on Ensemble's website. And soon here, we're hoping in the next probably 2 or so weeks, we hope to announce a 2021-2022 season, which will be, I think, a combination of both in-person and virtual programming as we kind of ease our way back into normalcy. I am fully vaccinated, so I'm very excited for things kind of going back to normal here very soon. So stay tuned for that information coming out, hopefully here sometime in June. And just a quick housekeeping before we get started. If you would like to share your comments, because of course, during the actual live readings of each of the scripts, we'll ask you to mute yourself. And if you could turn off your video, if you're not performing, mute yourself. If you do want to share your comments, your feedback in the comments section of either the Facebook live stream or the Zoom, I'll go ahead and read and share some of those in between each reading, so we can kind of share your feedback as we do this live reading. For tonight's reading in particular, and this is on behalf of the playwrights and the actors, if everybody can actually switch their view, so up in the right-hand corner of your Zoom, you should have the option to do like speaker view or gallery view. If everybody can switch their view to gallery view for this evening, because there's the two two-handers that we're doing this evening, we feel work really well in that gallery view setting. So just keep that in mind. I am muting everybody, just FYI, don't take it personally. And so just to let you know that those two particular readings tonight, so everything I think except for Ife's, if you want to please put yours in gallery view, you get kind of the best view of tonight's readings, those two-person readings that we'll have by Cindy and Jeanne. And then of course, if you are able during these crazy times, Ensemble is a 501c3, of course. So any and all donations or support, we are still navigating coming kind of out of this pandemic. I think this coming year, even this coming season, will be a definite challenge as people ease their way back into normalcy. And so what I will do is, of course, I will share all of the content that you need to link to in the chat. But all the time you can go to our website and links to donate, links to find out more information about what we're doing, and to just kind of stay up to date on everything Ensemble on our website. I will share that in our chat as well. So if without further ado, I want to get things started. Our first playwright this evening is the lovely Cindy Dettelbach, and the play that she wrote, Valentine Requiem. I'll let her do a little bit of kind of just giving you what inspired her to write this short play. She will introduce her actors, and then they will take the stage. So without further ado, technically the virtual stage is yours, Cindy. There you go. And we're looking, Cindy, if you want to go ahead and turn on your video and unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
And anybody who's not in the play, please turn off your video. Thank you.
That was the next, yes. If you are not reading in Cindy's play, if you could please turn off your video and mute yourself, that would be great. Again, okay. The stage, Cindy, is yours.
All right. Celeste asked me to talk about how this play got started. I've always been intrigued by the quote, "The past is never dead. It's not even past." That's by Faulkner. And I took what was really a minor incident that was real and then fantasized how it might play out some 4 decades later. Just an interesting bit of serendipity. I never knew exactly where the Faulkner quote came from. I looked it up right before tonight, and it came from a novel called Requiem for a Nun. Not that my play has anything to do with that, but it was ironic. We both have that. I have that word, ironic. I mean that word, requiem. Okay. Requiem, Valentine Requiem. My two-person cast, Alice, age 50, is played by Jeanne Madison. Jane, age 50, is played by Lena Matrison. The time is the present. Alice is phoning Jane. Can't hear you.
Sorry. Hello, is this Jane Lacey? Jane Lacey Kahn, that is.
Who is this?
Alice. Alice Warren, Lamont Rigby Senders, or Alice Warren as you'd remember me.
Sorry, I don't know an Alice by any of those last names.
From 2nd grade.
I beg your pardon.
2nd grade, Milvern School, Mrs. Rogers' class. We were in that class together.
My God, that was what, over 40 years ago?
42.
I can't honestly recall your, who gave you my cell phone number anyway?
A friend of a friend who is or was, a friend of yours, but she asked me not to bring her into it.
Is this some kind of shakedown or something?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Then why are you calling me?
I called to ask your forgiveness.
Forgiveness for what?
Well, my family and I moved the summer after second grade, and well, life got in the way. So my request for forgiveness is long overdue.
I am really a very busy person and don't have time for these riddles. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to just.
Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day in second grade. Surely you remember when everyone in the class had to give a Valentine card to everyone else in the class, either homemade or bought.
Yes, so
Well, I got in big trouble for the one I gave you.
really, why?
It came from a box of 20 or so sweet little Valentine cards designed for children. The one I selected for you was unfortunate.
You are still making no sense.
The picture on the card was of a cartoon-like raccoon with very prominent buck teeth. When I knew you in second grade, you also had very large protruding buck teeth.
And I came home crying bitterly over the insult. Now I do remember.
When you told your mom, she called the teacher to complain. Then the teacher called my mom, who was furious with me, even though I insisted the choice wasn't deliberate. She made me apologize to you in person that very afternoon.
And did you?
Of course, but I don't think you ever really forgave me, nor did my mom, who punished me for, in her words, being cruel and insensitive.
Funny that you dredged up that long ago incident.
Oh, I didn't have to dredge it up. It's been with me ever since. Talked about it with my shrink several times. Often I dream about it as well.
I guess I'm sorry that your unfortunate Valentine choice has stayed with you, but why reach out to me now?
Well, given the 4 Trump years, the election of Biden and those who say it was stolen, plus the Capitol riot January 6th, I've been wondering where you stand. I mean, assuming that early childhood trauma affected your thinking and politics as profoundly as it has affected mine.
Are you leading up to some fundraising pitch or a solicitation?
I mean, are you part of that group who feel disenfranchised, marginalized, unloved by the so-called Democratic elite, frustrated and angry because you don't see a path toward upward mobility, stuck in a dead-end job that barely covers food and rent with nothing left over to pay someone like an orthodontist to fix your teeth or those of your children?
I have no intention of talking economics or politics with you, a complete stranger, and, if I may say so, a complete nut job.
I bet some of those folks who stormed the Capitol had some trauma in their childhoods too.
Oh, to set your mind at ease, I wasn't one of them.
Nor I. In fact, I've been a Democrat, though hardly a Democratic elitist, all my life. I've always fought for the marginalized, the disenfranchised.
Next, you'll tell me it's all due to your need to compensate for that Valentine with the buck-toothed rodent.
Well, yes, in a funny way it is. Truth be told, I've spent most of my adult life in repentance mode. Kind of like every day for me is Yom Kippur and a trip to the confessional box, all in one.
Sounds like you've got more to repent for than a childish Valentine.
I repent and ask forgiveness for myself, my country, and my world. For 9/11, for economic inequality and racism, for neo-Nazi groups and homegrown terrorism, for Columbine and Sandy Hook, for polluting the environment and the democratic process.
A very tall order indeed.
That's why I chose a career in social work, my way of giving back for everything I and other likewise thoughtless people have taken or abused.
Very noble indeed. And I wish you continued good luck.
Now tell me about yourself.
I am not in social work, but I do have work to do, which this phone call is keeping me from. It's been lovely talking to you, but
I
now
checked you out on Facebook.
it seems like you have left no stone unturned, eh?
You have a very nice looking family, handsome husband, two beautiful children, and the house in the background. Oof. Unless you photoshopped it, your surroundings look quite comfortable, luxurious, in fact.
Thank you.
But except for one shot taken from a far distance, you're not in any of the pictures.
That's because I am the photographer, a hobby of mine.
And the one shot you are in, you don't look very happy.
Hmm, you wouldn't be either if you were married to Brendan.
Well, it looks like he provides well enough for you and the kids.
As if that were enough to ensure happiness or a good marriage. You think exactly like Brendan does.
I don't, but a couple of my exes did. They, like Brendan and probably you, voted for the big MAGA guy because you liked his tax cuts to the wealthy, the wall he was building to keep out poor, dirty, drug trafficking immigrants, his promise to make America great again, and by extension, make your marriage great again as well.
I don't have to listen to your screwed up logic or your fake news.
See, even your tropes give you away. Fake news. That's what Trump and his hangers-on say about any news that isn't news favorable to them.
I'm hanging up now.
Wait. I haven't told you why after 40 years I've chosen to ask for your forgiveness.
So spit it out and be done.
That bucktooth rodent on the card I gave you was no unhappy coincidence. It was deliberate, a case of pure and simple malice.
But you were all of 7 or 8 years old at the time. Developing a conscience was still a work in progress.
I wish you could have convinced my mother on that score.
Too late for that. But I have a souffle that needs to exit the oven in the next 60 seconds. So I forgive you.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Oh, and one last thing before you go. Can you post a current picture of yourself on Facebook? Up close and smiling.
The end.
So thank you, ladies. Thank you to Jeanne and to Cindy and to Lynna. Jeanne is both a playwright and an actor this evening. So thank you for being in so many roles this evening, Jeanne Madison. Lynna Metrison and Cindy Dettelbach, thank you for writing this short play, packing a whole lot of information into a very short script. Stage Rights, in particular for the Zoom reading series, has focused on these short plays, but these playwrights have written full-length plays, short plays. We have a Columbia New Plays Festival that I hope to, and again, I knock on wood, to get started again this year in March-ish, where we do workshop productions of some of the longer scripts that they've written. But these are not the only works that these wonderful people are putting out into the world. So we just want to remind you of that. I did share in the chat function a link to the page that is dedicated just to these 10 minutes. So if you want to go to that link, it'll have everything you need to know, what plays were coming up next. There is a link to donate on that page as well if you choose to donate to the theater if you'd like. I did get a message here from Molly and Brian. I love the scene and how you took a quote from Faulkner and used it to dramatize life, a moment, a memory, wonderful presentation by the actors. I have to agree with that sentiment. The one cool, wonderful thing about Stage Rights, and this actually came out of a wonderful suggestion by a good friend of mine, Rajiv Joseph, when he was doing a talk back. It's one thing to write a play and have your page be on the computer, but it's something a little bit different when you get an actor to give it life, and you hear a person embody those words. So that's kind of what this whole process has been a wonderful thing to help do, is to help give playwrights the opportunity to hear their words spoken out loud. Cindy, so proud of you from Lenny. Thank you for that feedback. So yeah, this really does offer an opportunity for the playwrights to hear their plays read aloud, and then of course to seek a little bit of audience feedback as well about what they think of their plays. So from Ed Walsh, a bit of badly needed humor. Yes, it is there's a little bit of dry humor there in that one in these trying times. Thank you so much for that, Cindy, from Ed Walsh. You're sometimes getting some really strong and very dramatic points across using a little bit of humor. That's always useful. That is true. So without a further ado, and I'll go ahead, you can still share your thoughts in that chat function on any of the scripts, and then I'll just fill them in between each reading. Very nice by Ann Johnson. Thank you for Cindy's play. So if Cindy, you're actors and you want to turn off your video and turn off your sound, the next piece we have is Cedar Avenue. And it is not only written by Gail Young. We always talk about what name she goes by. She not only wrote this piece, but she will be performing it as well. If Ife, I don't know if you want to turn on your video, if you just want to turn on your sound, and you want to let everybody know just a little bit about why you wrote this piece, and then literally the stage will be yours for this next reading of this short play. So go ahead, the stage is yours, Ife.
Okay, first why I wrote the play. My father used to sit down and tell us little bits of history. And he always spoke about this wonderful moment when Jesse Owens came home. He was a young boy at that time. And of course, I had all these visions in my head. And when I got older, I decided that I would write something about it. And so this is the results of it. It's called Cedar Avenue When Jesse Came Home. As Celeste said, I'll be also playing lead with the role of it. And Agnes Herman is going to do stage directions. And I am a diva or a nightclub singer, but a spirit as well. So anyway, I'm going to pull it up and here goes.
Cedar Avenue When Jesse Came Home, a 10-minute play by Ife Gale Young. Characters. 2 characters are performed by Ife Gale Young. The first is the spirit of Cedar Avenue, who is timeless, and the second is Noel Crumpton, an African-American, approximately 40 years of age. At Rise, the present, Cleveland, Ohio. A street sign reads 96th and Cedar Avenue. It is a Saturday, approximately 12:30 a.m. The block is clear. There are very few street lights and the area appears deserted. There is a form drifting within the area. It appears to be a ghost or spirit.
I am the spirit of Cedar Avenue. Death has called my name many times, but I have not answered. I linger, waiting here for the greatness of the past to return. I was diva. So many great events, like when Jesse Owens came home. I will tell you, well, I will let my past tell you all about it. And I will linger to remember.
Spirit magically pulls from the air a type of porthole. She steps through the porthole and becomes human. Flashback to the past. The spirit removes her head covering and becomes a nightclub singer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cedar Gardens. I am Noel Crumpton, Cedar Avenue's vocal delight, bringing to you the best of me each night and the best of my band. Are you ready, fellas? Perdido, I look for my heart and perdido while singing a sweet fiesta. Oh, the good life, full of fun seems to be the idea. You I must take the A train to get to Sugar Hill way up in the Harlem. But it wasn't Harlem. It was Cleveland, Ohio's Black Renaissance, August 24th, 1936. And it wasn't a heavy night or a fretful night, but as I recall, it was a very, very bebop night. And the sounds of saxophones and trumpets while they settled on the shoulders of Monday night wall-to-wall colored folks as we waited in sweet anticipation for our Black prodigy, Jesse Owens, to come home. Oh, you know him. He's the one that he ran across the tracks of East Technical High School, and he got fed by many a mama's kitchen fat back in collard greens. Ooh, we pranced arrogant blackness into the elite club as staccato fingers moved across the keyboards on their own volition, and dice bounced off the walls to glisten up at Lady Luck, those sisters that accompanied their men to gambling joints in fine attire. That men shouting, come on, honey, and blow on these dice for good luck. Come on, ha-cha, ha-cha, ha-cha. Mama's got a new pair of shoes. Cedar Avenue, professionals, doctors, lawyers, dentists, scholars, teachers, entrepreneurs, musicians, all on Cleveland, Ohio's colored side of town. And we sat over lobster dinners served in our own Black restaurants, mind you. Speaking of pyramids and Timbuktu, high school kids stole out of the night to experience the ambiance. And we scorned at a few Papa Slims and fine zoot-suited cockhead brothers who led their female entourage boldly on the corners of Thackeray and Hawthorne. Shh! Those red light districts. And there the lady showed off more legs and more thighs than a peacock shows off feathers. Well, see, that Avenue wasn't always pretty. With all different strokes, but undeniably the kidnapped children's children coming together to create a dark metropolis, waiting for our locomotive, Jesse Owens, to come home. And what we created that night was so sweet, so spunked up, that folks on the other side of the bridge crept over to sample the sauce we poured from 30th Street to 105. You know, big-time racketeer Jimmy Owens spent big bills like pennies saying, hey, y'all, didn't we show Hitler a thing or two? Langston Hughes, whose Negroes spoke of rivers, must have spoke also of Cedar Avenue. And Don King still bounced on his daddy's knee and was destined to be the world's greatest boxing promoter. And one day, we scurried door to door, collecting more money and more numbers than the Social Security Administration. And oh, honey, I sang all night long. Grab your coat and get your hat. Just direct your feet on the sunny side of the street. And I be losing, I scat it. Scooby-Doo, pop, was it for a poor girl like me to go? And if I ever get my nerves settled down, I'm gonna be a mean so and so. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. And if you liked what you heard, please spread the word. All right, have a good night, everyone. Well, after my last set, I made my way to Valve in the Alley, Cedar Avenue's best speakeasy. And there I was more appreciated than a cookout and a bottle of beer. Could nobody sleep that night? We all heard about it. How Hitler would not shake our black locomotive's hand. How we had shut down the white supremacy myth. How the whole black earth rejoiced. Yes, a freak's midnight, flying across the tracks of Berlin, Germany, erasing the shadows that slavery left behind. Our boy going over there and exchanging the hangman's noose with not one, but 4 Olympic medals dangling off his neck. The 100 meter, the 200 meter, the long jump and the relay. Oh, what glory! And we partied, having a good time, ain't nothing but a party. That ticking clock don't mean a thing. My what fun those hours bring. But it wasn't always good times on Cedar Avenue. Somewhere, some brother broke a pool stick over the back of another. Somewhere, some sister pulled a switchblade knife on a lover's other. And somewhere, deep in the red light district where a white boy was hypnotically drawn to a large round sister in a dingy hotel room, a wallet was missing. And somewhere in an unlit alcove, King Heroine's hypodermic needle fell to the pavement amongst the scratching and the nodding fragments of life. And yes, somewhere, somebody's eyes were blackened by loan sharks and big-time hustlers, fabulous beans and smoke rings over scotch and milk. And yes, somewhere, shots rang out in the night. But everywhere was the lingering of and the threat of paddy wagons and billy clubs. But that side of Cedar Avenue was still ours, siphoned for the need of liberation and our black dignity. Well, finally the moon retired and the sun clocked in. Vendors and hustlers, they made their way to the scene. Local boys in black bottomers, they spot and they wax shoes to a luminous shine. And the sun poured down on our heads like juju magic, and we were strong as voodoo that day, August 25th, 1936. Hundreds of black people poured out of buildings, jumped off trolleys, bicycles, and climbed out of automobiles. Babies rode the shoulders of big, strong, fine black men, and children squeezed their way to the front, and ladies removed their heels. All of us waiting for our brother to come home. Then we heard it, cheers, ever so lightly coming from Central Avenue that grew louder and louder, and confetti fell from open windows, and the crowd just went plain crazy. And then I saw him, Jesse Owens. He was riding on the top of the black seats of a black convertible, and his long, lean arms were waving to his people that upheld his greatness. And I could not help myself. I yelled, Jesse! Oh my goodness, it's Jesse Owens. Did you see him? Did you see him? Did you see him? Did you see him? That was 1936, before the continuous raids on Cedar Avenue, before the shifting of black dollars and unemployment. Lord, what happened to our side of Cedar Avenue? Many of our young black intelligentsia, once snatched up by colleges and universities, now snatched up by state prisons. Our businesses, shops, and clubs replaced by project tenements and cheap housing. Our ingeniously created policy houses and number runners declared illegal. Then replaced by computer machines and corner stores, number runners for Ohio lottery somehow declared legal. What happened to Cedar Avenue? Something so undeniably great has died. What force dared declare war on something so rich, so magic, and so colored as Cedar Avenue? When our brother Jesse came home, when we were in vogue, and I was diva, but it will rise again, all great things do. Oh, Cedar Avenue. And still, I remember.
The spirit pulls the porthole down again and steps through it and wanders the streets of Cedar Avenue once more. Lights fade to black. The end.
Thank you, Ife. Wonderful. What an interesting piece. That for sure. Let me
Thank you.
turn my video back on here. And I will actually hear Spotlight. Thank you so much for that, Ife. Very interesting to have that history, especially right recently. You know, that type of storytelling about that type of place in our history. I too, it was funny, I was going through some of the stuff in my house, and I pulled out in my, I think it was like in the 5th or 6th grade, I did this, one of the book reports that I was most proud of was about Jesse Owens. So it brought back a lot of memories of when I was a little kid and I wrote that book report. What an interesting time in history. I mean, that period that you're writing about, and what an interesting way to write about it as a ghost of kind of a time past, and then also embodying kind of the different aspects of that culture that was on Cedar Avenue. Really well thought out, and a really excellent opportunity for one actress and writer. It's not uncommon that there are one-man shows out there that are written by the playwright as an actor, so that they have, you know, material as an actor to work on as well. So very, very well done there, Ife, to give yourself some material to really dig into and do so wonderfully. What a beautiful singing voice too. I didn't know that. So that's wonderful to hear you sing. Let me share other people's opinions. Um, Let me go back here a minute. Hold on. Okay, yes. You are a poet, Ife. You have to draw us in with what was happening to Jesse Owens and the celebration, as well as the horror. Wow. A beautiful interpretation of the spirit of Cedar Avenue. Ife, it isn't fair that you have so much talent residing in one person. From Lina. The writing, the acting, the singing, brilliant work. Oh, thank you. Like the nightclub entertainer, a great way to introduce the glad and the sad history of returning home, of the returning hometown hero. Yep. Jesse Owens was such an iconic part of all of our history. Ife is the heartbeat of history, and her words pierce our hearts, taking us back, sharing and inviting us to take a look. Like that. That was a really good one. Great characterization and shift among the different characters. Excellent, captivating story poem. Loved the weaving in of the music. Ife, you're quite the writer performer. From Jeanne, our fellow playwright this evening. Viola Davis has nothing on you, Ife, from Rannigan. I love it. That's great. I remember Cedar Avenue. Very good job from Ann Johnson. Similar to reading Deacon King Kong from Sue Sanford. Very well done from Debbie. And thank you, Ife. You are so talented from Joey. Lots of wonderful feedback there, Ife. So wonderful
I
job.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Wow.
fantastic work.
Thank you so much.
So without further ado, I will switch on to our final piece. So if Ife, if you don't mind turning off your video, and muting yourself. We will get to the final short play this evening. And if Jeanne and her cast, if you want to turn on your video and your sound, the final piece, Eyes on the Bridge by Jeanne Madison. And actually, let me remove my spotlight on me. And then Jeanne, if you want to tell us a little bit about why you wrote this play and introduce your wonderful talent, the stage is yours, Jeanne.
Thank you. This play, I think, has been a long time coming, but in so many ways, it really wrote itself. I felt it come through my spirit from the ancestors. I think the spark that triggered it, though, was I was working on the play Greenwood, An American Dream Destroyed at Karamu. Mary Frances, who you will see shortly, was in that with me. And as that play and the topic of that play kind of churned in my system, I began to have some questions. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away. So after you have a chance to see it, hopefully you will put some things together. And I hope that it will resonate with you. So let me introduce my wonderful cast. We're so fortunate to live in a city that has so much wonderful talent. And I'm always thrilled when I call people and ask them to do things that they do it for me. And they do such a wonderful job. So first I want to introduce Mary Frances Miller, who's going to play Luda May. She's an outstanding actress, operatically trained singer, but she can also get down on the gospel and the spirituals. Mia Jones, who I've worked with many times. She's an outstanding stage manager and also an actress, stage and film. And she's going to be playing Angeline for us. Thank you very much, ladies. And Agnes Herman is going to read stage directions. So I'm going to turn it over now to Agnes, and thank you very much.
Eyes of the Bridge, a 10-minute play written by Jeanne Madison. Cast of characters. Luda May, African-American, 58, permanent resident. Angeline, 20s to 30s, nurse caregiver. Act 1, Scene 1. At Rise, a hospital room with bed, table, chair, and other items in a state mental institution for colored. Luda May sits in the chair in her room facing the audience. Institutional sounds in the background, people in the hallways.
Hello, Miss Luda May. How you feeling this afternoon?
Luda May closing her pocket quickly.
Fine, Angeline. I feel just fine. How you feeling?
Fine as yesterday, but not as fine as tomorrow, I hope.
How about yours? He treating you good?
Yes, ma'am. He brought me flowers yesterday. It says we're going on a show over in Mobile in 2 weeks from now.
Ooh, that's nice. Real nice. And where are you staying, darling?
Now, Miss Luda May, you know you need to stop. That's my business, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. I know. You told me.
Well, that's all you're gonna get. I'll tell you about the concert he took me to last Friday when I come back to check on you. Now, you be good until I get back, you hear?
All right, dear. I'll be here waiting for you.
I know that, ma'am. You're not going anywhere.
Exit Angeline, smiling broadly.
Yes, sir. I'll be sitting right here, waiting on you to get to 20. That's my number. Angeline don't know it yet, but she's helping me get to 20.
Luda May opens her pocket in her dress and looks in.
Angeline's all right, sweet. She'll sit and chat with you, pass the time.
Luda May pulls out from her sewing basket a piece of white cloth that she has been stitching.
I've been doing stitch work on this. It's for her. She fast though. I think she about to get married or have a baby or one or the other. Sometimes they don't get the order right. I had me a man once. A lot of folks asked me about that day. I ain't never said it. Till today. Don't matter much now, no way. 1948. I was sitting on the porch. My brothers and sisters was all grown up and gone. I still stayed at my daddy's house, not being married. The mailman come and hand me a letter special. I had signed for it from a Mrs. Bougainville up in Hale Valley. I never heard of her, but she sent it for me to come to her home for seamstress work. Seamstress work. Mama and Daddy sent for my baby brother Aloysius to carry me up there in his Pontiac and bring me on back home. So off we go to the place. Aloysius turned the car down this long driveway, big old house, built in slavery time. Young white woman come to the front door and say, "Hey, Lula, man." I say, "Yes, I'm here." She say, "Oh, Miss Rebecca, y'all come on around to the back and I'll take Miss Lula May and see Mama." We walk in, on round to the back, and Aloysius tell Miss Rebecca he gonna be over to the Negro pastor's house. He'll come fetch me when she's done with me.
Enter.
Miss Luda May, here's your mail. You got some new magazines. Here you go. We got you new. Oh.
Angeline puts magazines on table.
We got your new room cleaned up. You're moving down the hall and you're getting a new roommate tomorrow. Her name is Jacqueline Andrew. She's a nice lady. She's down in the game room now. They're getting ready for play cards.
So?
You've been in this hospital 2 years. How many people you know here? You all come out your room sometime. It do you good to get acquainted with your residents.
What for?
Now, cranky is as cranky does. You can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar.
Oh, yeah? But who in the world wants to catch flies?
It's just an expression. I'll come back for you in an hour.
I don't know why.
Angeline exits.
Funny how you remember, ain't it? I follow Miss Rebecca. The house is dark, but clean and cool. We go up a long, dark staircase and down a hall to a sick room. Everything in this room is white, and there's an old white lady laid up in the bed. She's so frail that the only dress she gonna need is a burying shroud. I don't make that kind of dress. Miss Rebecca say her mama's name is Mrs. Bougainville, and she done had a stroke, but she could hear me, and for me to sit down close by the bed in the only chair. I don't know why, but I felt uneasy. I'm sitting and holding my sewing basket in my pocketbook close to my chest in case I gotta run. Time passing, and I'm wondering when I can get out of there. Don't much like driving these Alabama roads after dark. After a while, Miss Rebecca come in with a tray and ask if I'm hungry. She sat on the table. Ain't that a switch? A white lady serving me. It wasn't much. Sun tea, some of those little sandwiches white folks so fond of. White bread, no crust, little mayonnaise, a sprig of garden greens, and maybe a little scrap of meat. I started nibbling and sipping, and all of a sudden, Mrs. sit bolt upright in that bed, arms stretched out, eyes and mouth wide open. She starts groaning and grunting and flapping her little spindly arms. Miss Rebecca come rushing in, patting her mama with her ear close to her mama's mouth. She listens, and then she hands me her mama's memory box. Miss Rebecca say her mama want me to open it and go through it. It's some kind of strange. On top, she got a bunch of faded satin hair ribbons and then some church program, some press flowers, announcements from her coming out ball, her wedding, and Miss Rebecca's christening. There's this rough scrap of faded plaid cloth, like from a man's work shirt. Look like it don't belong with all these female type things. And it's stiff, like it got dried with swamp mud. Mrs. starts grunting and waving her hands. When I touch the cloth to hand it to her, I feel cold. She grabs that cloth and holds it to her bosom, and she's quiet for a while. Her eyes open again, and she starts grunting and waving at the box. Well, ain't nothing in the bottom of that box but an old piece of newspaper lining the bottom. She carrying on powerful now, so I pull it out and try to hand it to her, but she's waving for me to look at. The paper's crumbling with age. It says about a livestock sale, seed prices, a church picnic. I turn it over and back. I shrug my shoulders. And then I see it. See the letters. SAMSON. Samson Tate, a Negro arrested and held for raping Miss Gracie Lewis, a white woman. And my heart is racing and I'm breathing so hard, and this can't be. I turn the paper over and over looking for the date. July 3rd, 1908. And I'm back there. 40 years ago in that burning bright sunshine, Samson and me and Samson, everybody knew. I was 16, Samson was 19. We were gonna get married and open our own shop. Me sewing on one side and Samson tinkering on the other. He was a genius with his hands. Samson could fix anything and did a little blacksmithing too. We only had to save up a few more dollars. Daddy was gonna give us land on his place. Oh, we had it all figured out. But Miss Gracie Lewis had to have him for herself. She told Samson that he was gonna give her what she wanted, or she was gonna tell that he had. A Negro man and a white woman, either way, my Samson was caught. He told me about it. He'd been going around to that white woman just like she wanted. He said it didn't take anything away from him and me. He loved me. His thing with Miss Gracie Lewis was something he had to do to survive, to stay alive. Well, anyway, we almost had enough money saved, but now we was gonna have to leave that place, and we couldn't tell nobody why. We knew what would happen to Samson if we did, and maybe me too.
Angelina cautiously.
Miss Luda May, you talking? Who you talking to, honey?
I'm talking to myself. Do you mind?
Okay, honey. I reckon you understand you. You want one of your magazines? You got The Crisis, Ebony, Life, True Confessions. There's an article here in Ebony about Eleanor Roosevelt and a colored man named Ralph Bunch. You know anything about him? He must be real important if Miss Roosevelt, for Miss Roosevelt to be sitting there with him. And on the magazine cover too. Says here he negotiated the peace in the Holy Land in 1948. You remember that, Miss Luda May? Right after World War II ended. The Jews and the Arabs was all fighting over there for the Jews to have Israel. Looks like this Ralph Bunch just now won a Nobel Peace Prize this year. A colored man with a Nobel Peace Prize? You want that one? If you don't want it, I sure would like to read that article. Which one you feeling like, Miss Luda May? Huh, honey?
True confessions. Yes, I feel like true confessions.
Here you go, Miss Luda May, one true confessions. Now you relax, honey. You look like all wound up and it's not time for your medicine yet. Maybe I should sit with you for a while?
Suit yourself, but I'm fine. As fine as I'm ever gonna be. You can take that Ebony, Maxine. Go on, Angeline. I won't scare you no more.
Thank you, Miss Luda May. All right then, since you're sure, I do have to go and file my charts. I'll be back directly with your dinner tray and your nighttime medicine.
Angeline exits.
Here I come. And Miss Gracie Lewis was up there in that fancy room of hers with my Samson. She thought it was safe, everybody getting ready for the 4th and all. Miss Gracie's daddy come home unexpected. Samson must have heard his roadster pull in because he jumped out the window and took off running. Her daddy saw, but didn't know who. He beat Miss Gracie till she come clean about it being Samson she was with. Then he beat her some more to make her say Samson raped her. Samson got back to my daddy's place and what happened? He had to get out. He was gonna catch the AT&N freight train that come through every night going north. He said he would send for me when he got settled. I gave him my money. We said our prayers for his safe journey. He gave me the sweetest kiss I ever got. Late that night, I heard the train whistle blow. Lord, I didn't want him to leave me. The next morning, Maisie come across the field in front of Daddy's place running and screaming that they got Samson, they got Samson. The neighbors come and told us it was all over. Could none of us go get the body less than the whites of what done this would make the colors who cut him down pay the price. I tried to run down to the Mill Creek Bridge where they done it. Mom and her sisters had to hold me back. I screamed and cried and fought till I blacked out. Wouldn't eat nothing. Stayed like that for weeks. Finally, they carried me over to this here state mental hospital for colored. Why are some folks so cruel? I was 16 years old. A white doctor in here back in 1908 decided I didn't ever need to have no babies. So he fixed it. They took my womanhood and then they let me out. It was my heart that was broken, not. I had the newspaper in my hand where Samson's hanging had been read up for all the white folks to come down to the bridge and watch it. And I saw that piece of cloth. It was from my Samson shirt. Soaked in his blood hard now. Mrs. Bougainville was showing me these things from her memory box. She was there when it happened. I looked at that white woman. And she was crying big old crocodile tears through open eyes, looking at me, pleading with me. And I knew I knew who she was. She knew who I was. After all them 40 years, she had sent for me to ease her conscience before she died. Ain't that nice? I heard myself saying, Miss Gracie, let me fix your bed for you. I walked over and laid Miss Gracie Lewis' arms down beside her and tucked the sheets in real good over her. Then I took her pillow by the ends and plumped it for her real nice. She looked relieved. Her eyes were saying, oh, thank God, Luda May forgives me. I held that pillow down over her face for, I don't know how long. So I got tired, I guess. And Miss Gracie Lewis stopped breathing under me. She didn't move much or try to fight me. I was surprised at that. I wonder when she sent for me if she knew I was going to do what I did. Soon this life will all be over, and our pilgrim virtual land soon will take our heavenly journey, be at home with friends again. Heaven's gates are standing open, waiting for entrance there.
You know, Miss Luda May, Miss Luda May, you have a lovely singing voice. What's that song you're singing?
A little while. Mahalia Jackson sings it.
Yeah, I know it. Some sweet day, we're going over all the beauties there to share. You should sing more often. Some of the residents get together on Sunday at chapel. How about it? Can I sign you up?
I ain't got no lovely singing voice. But honey, if it'll make you happy, I'll do it. Tomorrow, sign me up.
Angeline unloads the dinner tray and sets it on the table. She puts the cup with Luda May's sleeping pill beside her meal.
I'll do it. Here's your supper. You've got some nice meatloaf and mashed potatoes with gravy and green beans. Oh, and carrot cake for dessert. I think that's real cream cheese frosting. I'm putting your sleeping pill beside your plate. Now, I can trust you to take it, can I?
Yes, Angeline, honey, you can trust me to take my sleeping pill.
All right. Eat up. I'll be by for bed checks at 9 p.m. You need anything before I go?
No, honey, I've got everything I need.
All right.
Angeline exits. Luda May takes her 19 sleeping pills out of her pocket and counts them out on the table with the 20th Angeline has just given her.
White woman took my man. And she took my love. She took my womanhood. I was dead already, and I knew it. 19, 20. 20. That's my number.
Lights begin a slow fade. Offstage, Angeline sings the gospel song Just a Little While. Luda May takes the pills and lays her head back. End of play.
Wow. Wonderful job, ladies. Such a good job, Mary Frances and Mia. Thank you so much, Jeanne. I'm going to try and here spotlight me. Let me unpin you, ladies. You are not on the stage anymore, so you have a chance to take a breath. Ooh, thank you, Mary Frances and Mia. Oh my goodness, what a true statement there is from tonight. There's such an array of wonderful and rich talent here in Cleveland. We're so lucky to have the actors and the writers that we do have here, because my goodness, who says you need to go to New York to see good stuff? There's so many comments. Let me see, let me get through all of them. This piece is so beautifully wrenching, amazing performances, Mary Frances. I think your kitty was trying to comfort you. That was so sweet by Lena. It was very cute. This story is ready for the big time from Richard. What a story, Jeanne. Wow. Mary Frances is amazing, and the writing delivers her an opportunity to soar. Jeanne digs into the soil of history and turns it over and over. As Celeste says, amazing talent we have in our hometown here in Cleveland. Both of these young ladies are amazing. From Ife, yes, script very well written. Actresses are wonderful. From John and Pam. Jeanne, this is frightening. Your actors were fantastic in sharing your story. From Val. Amazing writing with the depth of knowing it in your soul, Jeanne. From Jeanine. From Jeanine Hall. Jeannie, I'm sorry, from Jeannie Hall. What a voice from Ife for you, Mary Frances. Yes, I agree. You have a nice little tone going there too, Mia. You both are so talented. Love the musicality of the piece and the weaving in of racial injustice in a memorable way. From Ranigan. I did share a link, so I'm just kind of going in the order of the website where all of tonight's reading will get archived. So if for any reason you missed anything, you can check that link, and these all get archived on our 10-minute plays page that is dedicated to them on our website. From Ed Walsh, devastating and profoundly moving. Reminds me of a page out of Faulkner. Let me see here, what else? Actors were perfectly cast and magnificent performances. Excellent presentation and well written. From Gwendolyn Johnson. Excellent from Debbie Frost. I mean, really, three really well written plays this evening. I can't tell you how much you can pack into a very short play. And then some of these short plays turn into longer scripts. So again, the playwright may have started with a 10-minute play, and then that 10-minute play may turn into a 1-act play or a full length, who knows? So it's a really wonderful opportunity to give these writers a chance to, explore telling these stories in a real way. And so, yeah, I don't know if Jeanne, you, Cindy, or Ife want to say anything before I wrap up. We were a little bit over an hour, but I did talk a lot at the very beginning, so I apologize. I was updating everybody on everything that's going on. So, a good hour evening of theater that's not, too long, because Zoom can get a little crazy if it's too long. Mary Frances, so glad you had fun. We are eventually, I think, hoping to produce these a little bit more. So again, stay tuned. Our 2021, 2022 season is, I think, going to be a combination of both virtual and in person. So it might be an opportunity to take some of these short plays and flesh them out a little bit more, both digitally and in person. So if you're not in Cleveland, you can still join us. If you are in Cleveland, you can join us in person. So stay tuned. I'm hashing all those details out as we speak in the month of June. So hopefully we'll send out an announcement here soon. Wonderful performances by all from Mary Frances. Thank you, Mary Frances. Thank you all for joining us this evening from your homes. It also just gives a wonderful human element to all of us here as artists and audience. We're all just human beings here hanging out in our homes, sharing each other's, stories, which is wonderful. That is the one other thing that I think Zoom has created a very unique opportunity for us to kind of share with each other. So, and I'm sorry, my dog is barking. But I just want to thank you all again so much for joining us this evening. We will be back with you again on the 5th of July. Again, visit our website, www.ensembletheatercle.org for everything ensemble. And then I also did share the link to just the page that is dedicated to our 10-minute plays as well. This video will get archived up there This the 14th of our Monday night series. So you can go back and watch this one. You can watch any ones in the past. And then of course, in the future, it's a reference. So if you can't join us via Zoom or Facebook on the actual Monday nights, you still have an opportunity to see everything in its entirety. Thank you all so much for joining us. Great evening of performances and well done from Debbie Frost. That's a good way to go out. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you, actors. Thank you, playwrights. And I will see you guys again in July. Have a good, amazing start of your summer. And we'll see you all very soon. My best to you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you again in person soon. I promise. My best. I'm going to actually stop the Facebook live stream here really quickly. And then I